Yay! Welcome guys back to the channel. Maverick here, ready for episode 2 of BEASTARS. So, last time we were left off, I was quite impressed by the first episode. I really liked the dialogue, I liked the interactions, the animation, even though a lot of people don't like CGI, I still liked it. I felt that they did a very good job with the facial expressions of the characters, and of course the music is a big plus as well. And so, what about the story, right? At the end of last episode, it seems that our main character, Legosi, seems to have been affected by some sort of smell that's activating his primal instincts, if you will. And so now we have the fated encounter with what I assume to be the female lead, Haru, a rabbit, right? A wolf and a rabbit. And, well, I don't know. It seems that there's somebody on campus trying to stir some things up, probably the one behind it, and trying to sort of rile up the carnivores against the herbivores, right? Is that true or not? Don't know. Let's find out if that is so. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, and also, do let me know if you guys would prefer me to not cut out the opening. I generally cut it out because there's nothing much for me to say there. But if you want me to leave it in for syncing purposes and whatnot, let me know. Wait, it's back? Does it? Yeah, I guess a dog is also. Oh, actual opening this time. Alright, let me mute this. So even though we heard the song at the ending of last episode, we haven't seen this part. Oh, in stop motion. Alright. And I really like this song as well. Sort of jazz inspired, big band inspired. Wild sigh. So even though I'm not skipping this because this is the first time I'm seeing it. Oh, that was a nice transition from the music to the actual on-screen animation as well. Huh. I love this. You know, even though this isn't animation at all, this is just stop motion, but I loved it. I loved the entire cinematography of it. All right, that was muted, by the way, because I don't want to be copyright struck. And like I said, do let me know if you guys would prefer me to keep it in the future as well. A lot of tasty, juicy flesh. You know, if they didn't have this dynamic of a carnivore and herbivore, he would basically be a a hentai molester. Is this his conscious or no? Yes? No? Is this actually someone else? give in to your primal instinct. So he's literally never tasted flesh before, really. Mm-hmm. Wait, what happened here? You got injured? Oh. Plays tomorrow. A sprain, I'm guessing? Okay, he was literally clawing himself. Soy patties? Criminalization of meat consumption. Really? He's why is it only affecting him though? Hmm. Oh, he's okay. He's walking normal. Oh, so that's a beast star. Okay. So that's the title drop here. Hmm. I like how those two are now back on good terms again. Hmm. Oh, this is a play? Welcome event. He's easily content. The worst. A world where carnivores are forbidden from eating meat. That's. Oh, it's swollen. Damn. So, so does he truly believe in the fact that, they are an important representation of the harmony between carnivores and herbivores? Lewis, I mean. And that's why he's pushing himself so hard. He's gonna meet Haru there, isn't he? Hmm. Huh. So it's not literally. Is it literally just him? I thought there was someone going around trying to force these kinds of incidents. I mean, that's still possible, but. Hey. Does she not recognize it's him? Well, it was quite. It was quite dark yesterday. I don't think she actually realizes, too. Touching his hair, his tail. 1 year young. Oh, she's actually the senpai? Alright. A third year, huh? She tucked his tail in. Oh, that's. What? Is she lying? Because she doesn't want to make a big deal out of it? Or does she really not remember? Hmm. Hmm. You're in love. Grab a bite together. What? The what? What? Oh my god. What? Alright, and this is the first time we see the actual ending as well. Is this sung by Haru's voice actor? Hmm. No? Okay. Eureka? I have so many questions right now. What? Mm. Alrighty, so that was episode 2 of BEASTARS, and man, that ending though, that ending, like, it came completely out of the blue. I will fully admit, I never expected that kind of scene to happen. And, I was thinking after the end here, whether or not it could be, maybe it's just, maybe we're mistaking it for something, right? It's sort of like a situation where get your head out of the gutter, that's not what she means at all and whatnot. But I don't think there can be any misunderstanding in that. She's literally stripped down to her underwear, right? It's not even just a sort of verbal teasing or whatnot. So I do believe that she is, actually, well, let's just say that the things that we thought were rumors being spread about her, I think it's actually true, right? So she is a more loose kind of girl, if you could say. Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? I'm not one of those ultra conservative people. But it's just that I never thought that the anime here would go so far, or the series actually, I should say, since it was originally a manga, it would go so far to that, right? And well, it's like I don't know. It just completely came out of blue, and I will fully admit I am entirely amused by this, by the whole turn of things, especially considering they're a carnivore and a herbivore. Like that's just all kinds of funny to me. But yeah, it's making it very very interesting, right? And I do kind of wonder if I want to learn more about Haru, like when she's acting like this or whatnot. Is it just that she does she have some particular thing that drove her to this, or it's literally about I'm a fully independent female, I can do whatever I want, right? So I do want to see where they're actually going with this. And also in regards to like whether or not she actually knows or recognizes Legoshi from the night before, right? Because obviously, so there's when within the episode I was asking like whether or not she was actually in a sort of trance or something, and so that she doesn't know. But thinking about it a little bit more and then rewatching the scene again, that must be just a lie on her part, where she's sort of covering up and not really wanting to make a big deal out of the situation, right? Whether or not it's out of from her own independence as well. She doesn't want to be seen as sort of like this weak and need to be protected rabbit, or it's because she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to make it so that there's another kind of carnivore herbivore conflict that soon on the campus again. Considering the last one just happened literally a day ago or a few days ago, right? So yeah, it could be one of those two, but she's definitely deliberately covering it up, right? And whether or not she actually recognizes that it's Legoshi. So this is something that I was also thinking about as well. I'm leaning more towards she doesn't actually know, because, it was actually quite dark the night before, and she never got to fully see Legoshi's face. So it's possible that she actually doesn't know it was him. On the other hand, you could also make an argument that maybe she knows, and right now she's sort of like testing him in a certain way. But I feel like that is a bit more improbable, all things considered. So she probably doesn't know, and one of the conflict points that we'll see later, especially since this is sort of going to turn into a romance between Legoshi and Haru, is probably that Haru will eventually discover that Legoshi was the one that night that assaulted her, right? So yeah, things, and we're probably gonna get through a lot of drama at that point as well, but I could foresee it going in that kind of direction, right? And speaking about the entire conflict between carnivores and herbivores, so I did not actually expect them to be, to be put under these kinds of restrictions, right? In retrospect, it does make sense that consumption of meat is banned and whatnot, but at the same time, that is going against their nature, right? That is so unnatural for carnivores to completely shut out meat consumption, right? And I can absolutely see why there would be dissidents to this, and why there would be people wanting to actively sabotage this kind of system in place and wanting to revert back. Like, I was originally back in episode 1, I was thinking, okay, so they have different cafeterias, but I assumed that the carnivores were still eating meat of some kind. It's just that they are, they're being pacified, and so they can't just hunt for their meat from their fellow students or classmates, right? So that was what I was thinking of, but apparently they are all being vegetarian right now. We saw that even though there was a burger, a patty on the carnivore's plate, it was made out of soy, sort of like Beyond Meat nowadays, coming from the U.S. The meat, the vegetarian-based, the plant-based meat that supposedly tastes just as good as the real meat. I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't particularly have care for it. And honestly, I'm thinking whether or not there's going to be a big vegetarian message coming out from this. And I mentioned this because I probably should have a disclaimer first that I am, a full lover of meat, right? Steak is one of my favorite foods. So if it is going to try to preach that to me, well, sorry, I'm not going to change this anytime soon, right? On the other hand, I feel like the work itself probably wouldn't be so shallow as to be promoting just that, right? You can definitely see the racial undertone here, sort of racial conflicts and whatnot, and that's what I feel they are going to go more towards, as well as maybe touching on some, normal aspects as well of slice of life and of romance. And really, with this kind of revelation here, I already have a huge sympathy for the carnivores in this series. Like, they are making a big sacrifice here, right? Like, I can understand, trying to rein them in and not allow them to go feast on fellow students, like that I can understand, right? But asking them to completely cut out meat from their diet, oh man, that is, I am feeling full sympathy towards the carnivores right now. And yeah, and speaking of this great sacrifice, well, it's kind of a weird way to go on forward to the next topic, but the next thing I want to talk about is actually Lewis, right? The senpai, the star actor of the drama club, right? So last episode I mentioned that there's probably a little bit more than just pride and arrogance that he's displaying, but it makes sense here, right? He really truly believes in the values of what the drama club is representing, right? Which is the coexistence between the herbivores and carnivores here, and that is why he's pushing himself so hard, because he wants to strive to I was thinking already that even though he seems to exhibit a lot of pride and arrogance, maybe we can also see him being actually quite caring towards his fellow Kohai as well, being caring towards Legoshi. But apparently the entire reason that he's holding up this, the whole reason that he's walking with his head held high and whatnot is because he truly believes in the values here. He believes he's on the side of justice, and that's an important part, and that's an important thing, right? To understand in terms of his character. Definitely a lot of respect for him now. Like, even though I knew that he was probably going to be more than just a one-dimensional character, it also kind of surprised me as well as to the extent that he wants to go for exhibiting these values and whatnot, right? So I did like his portrayal as well. And we also, of course, learn about the the title of this series, BEASTARS, right? So apparently BEASTAR is the one who is really a star in promoting the coexisting relationship between these two types of animals. So perhaps this is something that Legoshi is going to aim for, maybe inadvertently, and try to become. Maybe not. Don't really know. But I would suspect that is probably the path that he's trying to go on. I think it actually make a lot more sense for carnivores to be the BEASTARS. Again, just maybe this is biased, but I just feel like they, if they can truly, control themselves from consuming any meat at all, that requires such big self-control, right? I'm sure some people will disagree, but I just feel like that is such against nature itself. It's not even human nature. It's nature. It's literally nature, right? That I would absolutely, if there was somebody from their side that fully exhibited these sort of values and fully worked towards the coexistence of them two, and continuing to preach this sort of philosophy to his fellow carnivores, that they shouldn't consume meat, absolutely, I feel like just the starting position is harder for them, right? That's what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, that is pretty much everything I want to say for this episode. I really enjoyed the opening, by the way, even though it was in stop motion. I really loved the sort of pairing with that, with what was happening on in the music, right? Being a more ominous at the beginning, and then brightening up, and then getting into the full dance mode between Legoshi and Haru. So really like that part as well. It's funny, right? It's actually quite, I wouldn't say it's simple, right? I feel like that would be a sort of disservice to the amount of time it takes to do that, but at the same time, it's I would consider it less work extensive than a fully animated, fully drawn opening, right? But at the same time, I feel like the impact that it does and the way that it pairs together with the actual song in the background, it's actually one of the better ones I've seen in terms of its tempo. And yeah, I really dig the way that they made it, right? So there we go, and that is BEASTARS episode 2. I'm trying to, this episode was a little bit delayed. I'm still trying to. Well, it's not really dependent on me, right? Because I am using a fan sub from Post-Apocalyptic Subs here, and so I will need to change my schedule of this video according to their subs. So apparently from maybe episode 4 and on, it'll have a more regular schedule, but until then, expect these to be delayed from, I guess 2 to 3 days from the initial airing, right? So there we go. And also, one final thing, do again let me know if you guys want me to keep the opening for every single episode, though again, I'll probably not be talking much during that time as well, since I already have my own opening introduction recap. Right, so there we go. I'll see you guys next week. Until then, bye bye.